She's obviously a Jew being raised by her uncle, whose name is Mordecai, who obviously is a man of influence. He stays at the gate and functions somehow and is in a position of honor. The king puts his second in command, a man named Haman, who is the epitome of the anti-Semitic spirit. He hates the Jews, but it's aimed mostly at Mordecai, because Mordecai sits at the gate, and you get the impression that the king gives his signet ring to Haman, and he's a very almost passive leader, and Haman's just running the show and saying everybody has to bow down when I come near, except Mordecai does not. And it drives him insane. He ends up just seething with hatred and issuing a decree that all the Jews, They'd be annihilated. He rolls kind of these dice. They're called Purim. I don't know how you say it exactly. Rolls these dice and gets the date. That's how he decided on the date to issue a decree for them to be annihilated. Goes to the king and says, hey, these people are rebellious. They practice, everything they do is different than all the other people in the land. They should be exterminated. And again, the king has kind of given his ring away. So really, he's just a yes man. Sure, that's fine. So he issues this decree. It goes out into all the provinces with this date that's actually 11 months in the future. So the Jews have this date hanging over their head that on this date, all the people of the provinces have permission to rise up and kill you. Women, children, everybody. All because of Haman. And Mordecai comes to Esther and he says his famous thing. What if you go to the king and ask? And she says, I can't go to the king. He'll kill me. Can't just walk into the king. And he says, what if you were put into power for such a time as this? And she says, what? Fast and pray. She doesn't say pray. She says fast, actually. God is very, very in the background of this book. They don't say his name. They don't say anything. And so she asks them to fast, and then she calls for a banquet. Haman and the king come, and she asks for another banquet. And he goes away merry that he's getting invited to hang out with the king and queen. Isn't he special? But there's a fly in the ointment of his joy. And what is that? Mordecai. He can't stand the guy. And his family notices, dang, you should be on top of the world, but you're really hacked off. And it's because of this dude. Just hang him. Just expedite his demise. And so he builds what? Gallows. He builds these gallows. I'll just hang him tomorrow. Well, it just so happened that who couldn't sleep that night? King Ahasuerus, Xerxes, Ahasuerus. It's a Greek name, Hebrew name. It's the same person. Couldn't sleep that night, so he's having what read to him? Chronicles, that happened to have a story recorded that I skipped over, where Mordecai, sitting at the gate, long before, several years previously, had heard people were going to kill the king. And he sent word to Esther, he intervened, those people were killed, and he's laying awake at night, he can't sleep, and he's having this read to him, the story of the chronicles of the court. These people did this bad thing, and this is what happened. These people did this good thing, and this is how they were rewarded. Blah, 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 blah. This guy Mordecai intercepted an assassination attempt, then this person, and he said, wait, what was done for that guy Mordecai? And they were saying, nothing is recorded. So he's up like, wait, something has to be done. What should be done? Meanwhile, Haman's coming to say to him, this is literally a soap opera story. Haman's on his way to say to him, hey, I'm just going to hang this guy just so you know, like it's fine. I have your ring. I'll just stamp it for you. And so they intercept and he says, hey, what should I do for somebody I want to honor? And Haman says, oh, you should parade him around on one of your horses wearing one of your robes and one of your rings, and you should make everybody say, this is what's done for a man. You should have someone going in front. This is what's done for a man who honors the king. And he's like, perfect. The king's like, that's what I'll do. Go get Mordecai. You're going to do that for Mordecai. So in case his wound wasn't deep enough, the king was like, let's put salt in that. He has no idea. And so he's livid. And at the next banquet night, Esther says to him, save my people. Basically, he says, what do you want? Why are you calling these banquets? And she says, my people are he has no idea she's a Jew. This is the first time he's finding this out. And she's saying, this decree has been issued, they're going to kill them all. And he's like, wait, who issued this decree? And she says, it's Haman. King is livid. Why? Because he cannot reverse his own decree. You cannot. It's sealed. It's a done deal. This will happen. And he knows he can't send back a retraction. That doesn't exist for them. And so he's livid. He goes out in the garden. When he comes back in, what does he find? Haman kind of groveling in some way, telling Esther, like, save my life. And it looks like he's making a pass at his wife. So he's like, kill him now. He gets killed on what? The gallows that he had built to kill Mordecai. Now, he cannot retract it. So what does he do instead? He puts Mordecai in position. He gives Esther Haman's estate. And he says, hey, here's my ring, basically, that Haman had. Issue a decree. You script it. So they script it. They issue a decree that says what? They can defend themselves. Were they attacked on that day? Yes. They were attacked. And did they defend themselves? Yes. And were they victorious? Yes. And one of this little line that was slipped in there that I thought was so powerful. One was when Haman's wife found out that Mordecai was a Jew, and she was saying, oh yeah, just hang him, just kill him. She comes back around, she's like, wait, he's a Jew? If he's a Jew, he'll overpower you, and you'll die. You'll fall to him. There's something in people who don't worship their God that recognizes their God is God. And they're terrified of them. And then after the Jews have victory and success, there's this little line that says, for the Jews, it was a time of light and gladness and joy and honor in every province and every city. Wherever the king's edict and decree reached, there was joy and gladness, and there was feasting and celebration. And many of the people of the land, these are not Jewish people, themselves became Jews. There's a conversion moment in Esther because people just watched a great reversal of an appointed extermination and the most dramatic God intervening reversal that reinforced something they already knew. If he's a Jew, they'll overpower you. Their God is God. And there's these little things in there. I looked for a bunch of prophetic stuff. I'm going to give you guys enough time to talk. Courtney needs... there's good stuff. Okay, let me just tell you this. Two things. Some say Vashti is almost a representation of the Jews and their unwillingness to sort of share their title blessing, that she represents like the Jews' unwillingness, almost an elitist, like, no, I'll keep to myself. And that Esther represents the Gentiles who get brought before the king secondarily. We got grafted in because they rejected him. And that this story is very end times. It uses a ton of end time numerology and things. But I'll just give you one little trinket that I thought was interesting. You'll see in there twice. So they go and kill Haman's sons, and they're all dead. And then you see Esther go back before the king and say, hey, I would like one more request. Tomorrow, could you hang Haman's sons? Did you notice that? They're already dead. This is a chronological book. And it's the weirdest thing, and it causes a lot of debate. And I looked into it just a little bit. This was fascinating. The way she addresses the king in the first one is very specific to him as king. The second way is general, almost like she's saying, king, this secondary execution sometime in the future. And it's phrased differently than the first one, as if it's not specific to this event. Fast forward. And Haman's sons, in Hebrew, in case you don't know, they write their alphabet is capital letters, lowercase letters, and words can also be numbers. Words and numbers. I don't understand it all, but I hear about it a lot. Haman's sons' names were letters, and they were written with small and big letters. So they also correspond to numbers. They detail out a number that is 1946. If you fast forward to 1946, there were 11 Germans, Nazi Germans, that were on trial for killing Jews and scheduled to be executed. One of them killed themselves the night before. They were supposed to go before a firing range or electrical chair. Instead, the judge, for some reason out of nowhere, says, I want them to be hanged. And the date that Haman's son's name spells out is 1946, and Esther had asked that they be killed a second time. So it's really fascinating. Anyway, they celebrate Purim religiously, and when they do, they're prophesying. That celebration is prophesying. Our God is the God of reversals. That celebration is a prophetic celebration of no matter how bad it gets, he'll spin the whole thing on its head in our favor. We carry the blessing of God. So I hope the book is less one-dimensional. You have 15 minutes in your small groups. We don't have to move. So 15 minutes in your small groups. And Courtney's going to start at 10:30 to discuss Esther. What? Is that right? Yeah. Okay. What?
I'm going to talk about Job.
What? I don't know what I said, but Job. Right.